What's up, guys? Welcome to Game Times. The Super 89 here. First of all, thanks so much for your support during the MMOHut video producer contest. While I didn't win, I was able to make it to the top 3. As someone who's only just begun producing content on YouTube, I'm happy with what I achieved. Many of you who are now watching this video subscribed to my channel because of my MMOHut submission, and for that I thank you. I did notice one thing though. There was a severe amount of raging over my decision to include Guild Wars 2 as the #1 free-to-play MMORPG. Here's just a sample of some of the comments I received on my video. Think maybe I misinterpreted my audience a little bit? Still, I stand by my list. I don't need 45 people informing me that Guild Wars 2 is buy-to-play. I realize it's buy-to-play. I even mentioned that in my video, so I don't understand why so many people kept trying to convince me it was buy-to-play. So, why then did I include a buy-to-play game as the #1 free-to-play game? Well, I was going for something to get people talking, and I certainly succeeded at that. I also believe that you can make a legitimate argument for the inclusion of Guild Wars 2 in a video about free-to-play MMOs. I wanted to use the top 5 video as a springboard for that topic. It does require a bit of outside-the-box thinking. Because you pay $60 for the game, that pretty much takes it out of the formal definition of free-to-play. However, let's look at things a bit deeper. If I pay $60 to purchase Guild Wars 2, I never have to pay another cent until they come out with a paid expansion pack. I don't have to worry about unbalanced cash shops because ANET gets their revenue from box sales, and I trust ANET not to put too many unbalanced items on the cash shop. Meanwhile, you take a game like Runes of Magic, which I did include in my list, and see how long you can go in that game without spending money in the cash shop, especially at in-game. For serious players, many supposed free-to-play titles actually end up costing the player more than what he would have had to spend had he just bought a buy-to-play game or subscribed to even a pay-to-play game. Now, here's where I may have misinterpreted my audience. I realize there are a plethora of reasons that we all have for playing MMORPGs. Some people just aren't interested in remaining competitive at in-game. Some people honestly don't spend money in the cash shop. Some people actually prefer the extra grinding that one has to do in order to succeed in those games without paying real money. For those people, Guild Wars 2 won't satisfy their needs at all. At this point though, we need to think about whose video this actually was. It was my video. The list was not the top 5 free-to-play MMORPGs. The list was my top 5 free-to-play MMORPGs. I'll make a confession and say that I've never really fallen in love with a free-to-play MMORPG. For me, free-to-play MMOs serve as a nice stopgap in between major pay-to-play releases like the Old Republic and Elder Scrolls Online. When I look for a free-to-play MMORPG, I want a game that I can jump into for a couple of months without having to place down a huge time commitment. Here you can have a game like Guild Wars 2 that's actually buy-to-play, at least in terms of technical definition. However, Guild Wars 2's gameplay is perfect for people that only want to play an MMO a couple of months at a time. Leveling is fast-paced, there's no major gear grind, and I don't have to invest large amounts of cash to remain competitive at in-game. I actually like to be competitive at in-game. If I'm not raiding, or doing whatever content exists at the end-game of an MMO, I don't usually have any reason to continue playing. Now again, I realize people are different, but respect the fact that this was my list. Guild Wars 2 pushes all the right buttons for me, and is certainly more free-to-play than many supposed free-to-play titles out there. So with all that said, the important thing to take away from all of this is that free-to-play can mean many different things to many different people. It's honestly not always so simple as to just say a game is free to play because you don't have to pay any money to download and play. If that were the case, World of Warcraft, Rift, and the Old Republic, at least prior to today, and many other MMOs would be considered free to play. Instead, free to play is all about the value one receives for his money or lack of money. In that sense, even some pay-to-play games are actually more free-to-play than the supposed free-to-play titles. For me, Guild Wars 2 is the perfect free-to-play game. I can pay upfront and then have unrestricted access to the entire game, and it just so happens that the nature of the game itself fits every mold that I've established for the perfect free-to-play title. Now, having said all that, I would never be so dense as to include a pay-to-play title in a list of free-to-play MMOs, because the lines are clearly too distinct, and because the internet might explode if I actually attempted to do that. But, with Guild Wars 2 being one of only, I think, one or two other buy-to-play titles, and considering the nature of the game itself, I believe that we can include Guild Wars 2 in a conversation about free-to-play. Even if you disagree, I would think that you can at least respect my opinion. I would hope that my video was not downrated simply because you didn't like my list. If so, I think you may have missed the point of the contest entirely. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Can or should we include Guild Wars 2 in a conversation with free-to-play MMORPGs? Or should we leave it exclusively in its own category of buy-to-play? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys next week.